All right, how y'all doing? This is Charlie Agar with Charlie Bee Company. I'm at Cemex Balcones Quarry, which is an area just south of New Braunfels. It's a huge quarry. Adjacent to that, they have a nature area here where I keep bees. It's one of the many places where I keep bees. So come on over, we'll do a quick inspection. I'm gonna start with just this hive right here. So that's a good spot. Thank you to my cameraman, my wife Kay. She's awful cute. You can't see her, but she's awful cute. So I want to walk you through the basic tools I have. Of course, a smoker. Smoker does a couple of things. One is it cuts off the bees' ability to communicate. They communicate through smell. So I'm basically going to knock on the front door here and say, "Hey, I'm coming." It also mimics one of the big issues of bees out in the wild, which is wildfire. So when they smell fire, of course there's danger. So they're going to slurp up some of their resources, and their belly's going to be full, so they can't move quite as quickly. So smoker is a key tool. The other tool I got is a Hive Tool. It's basically just a little pry bar. Bees bring in propolis, which is like sap, and they glue everything together. So I'm going to use this to break everything apart. A pair of gloves, and my bee brush. I don't use it that often, but this enables me to move bees around without killing them. So we'll just jump into the hive here. These bees are pretty active, but we're in a really rough spot this year. We don't have a lot of nectar flow. We should be in the middle of a crazy amount of activity. I'm not quite seeing it, so I'm interested to see what these bees are doing. I am going to put my veil on. I'll try to work without gloves because it's just easier, more tactile if I can work without gloves. But I don't like getting stung in the face, and I haven't been in these bees in a while. So again, a little bit of smoke to say, "Here we come, ladies." And that pleases me. When I see that amount of bees coming up in the top, this is what's called a honey super. If you can pan down honey, tilt down, we've got 3 boxes. This is a brood chamber, not 9+ inches. This is a super and a super. The babies are all here. The honey is going to be up at the top. The bees do that naturally, but I'm going to work that with the boxes so that when I do harvest honey, this is where it'll come from. So again, smoke's my friend. Use my Hive Tool to pry the frames up and see what we got. Good news. So what we've got here is nectar, right? So these bees are working this frame, filling this frame with nectar. That's a really good sign that pleases me that we might get some honey. When this nectar is dehydrated, the bees chew it and they dehydrate it with their wings. When it becomes less than 17% moisture, they'll cap it over. So right here, they'll put a white capping over the top, but they are working that really well. That makes me really happy. So looking good so far. Hopefully we have a nice healthy hive. So I'm going to set that aside. The cool thing about bees is the technology hasn't changed in 100 years. Langstroth was the guy who put these movable frame hives together based on one simple principle. This is called bee space. So this space in between these 2 frames is about 3/8 of an inch. Langstroth discovered that if you hung frames that distance apart, the bees would not fill it in or put another piece of comb in there. So it's the perfect distance apart so that you could have movable frame hives. Before that, they used what was called a skep, and a skep was just an overturned basket. And but the technology hasn't changed. Here's a good glimpse of foundation. So right here, this is just plastic foundation in a frame, and then they're building up wax. I can feel wax right here as they're building it up. Now here's a frame they've drawn out. Again, looking pretty good. I was really worried. We've had a really poor nectar flow this year. A lot of rain, a lot of cold, a lot of late cold. So this pleases me and we still have a little bit of time left before we run out, before the summer, what's called the dearth. So these bees are slowly filling out this top box. Not a lot of activity up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next box. And I had pushed these frames up here in the hopes that these bees would make a little more honey. Fill this box again. Smoked, my friend. I'm gonna say howdy do to this next level. And looking good. I see a lot of bees. That makes me really happy. When I don't see bees, I cry. Actually, I'll start from this end. So I start from one side of the hive, pry that frame out, I lift it, so it's kind of stuck, right? So I'll lift that frame out. I just look at the bees because I just love to look at the bees. This is what I do. Not that exciting a frame. But here we're gonna get into, hopefully, we're looking for brood, which is baby bees. This frame is a little heavy with nectar. This is what I want, and this is what I got. I'm really happy. This is all brood. So the process, and we're gonna look for the queen. If we're lucky, we'll find her. The process is the queen lays an egg. It's smaller than a rice grain. That egg hatches into a larva. The bees feed that larva. And then over the course of the total process is 23 days before it becomes a pupa, and then it emerges 23 days total as an adult bee. Turns around and cleans its room. Y'all are in college now, so you know all about that. But and the bees get to work. So this makes me happy when I see brood. I'm looking for things like queen cells too, to make sure they're not thinking about swarming, which is how they reproduce. But they look like a nice healthy colony. And I'm gonna go ahead and go through this whole box. We're looking for the queen. You get kind of an eye for the queen. My wife on the camera is very good at finding queens, so I'll rely on her eyes too. We're looking at, that's a little queen cup right there. Doesn't concern me though. Looking for the big, long belly queen. She looks just like the others, but when you see her, you absolutely see her. So like to hold the frame in sunlight and see if we can see that queen. And just move on. Now, I'd be inclined to feed these bees. I do have a hose out here I have a tank in my vehicle where I keep nectar. Same thing you'd feed hummingbirds, so half sugar, half water. But I'm seeing enough resources, at least in the top, and they are in the nectar flow, so I don't want to make honey out of sugar water. So this is the time of year that I back off on any potential feeding so that I don't get lousy honey. I want honey to be pure nectar, pollen from out in the world. Looking for that queen. And again, we've got a decent brood pattern. Usually it's nice to see a little tighter. We are in the second chamber, so I'll be interested to see what the next chamber down looks like. All right, we started working through the hive, and there she is. We found her. Luckily, she's a marked queen. That's a green marked queen from 2019. So they get marked with a color for every year. Let's watch her for a minute. Maybe we'll get lucky and see her lay an egg. She'll dip her tail in. Look how much bigger she is right there. She's just longer. And it's one of those things when you see her, oh, you see her, you know, you just absolutely know it. And it is certainly helpful that she has a nice big green dot on her. So I'm happy with this hive. They're doing okay. I think we're in real good shape. Pretty little queen. Look at how they tend to her. Oh, I lost her other shoes. They check her out, they preen her, they feed her.
How long does she live?
Oh yeah, so this queen will live up to 5 years. She'll only really be productive though for 2, maybe 3 years. So, oh, she just fell in. I saw where she went. She went and she dropped in. That's just fine. So it's a little bit like chickens. You know, you raise chickens, you fall in love with your chicken, and then they stop laying eggs, and then you have to make a decision. I don't fall in love with queens, but I'd prefer to let the queen keep laying, but if she's not productive, that's something I'm gonna have to do, is pinch a queen and replace her. I buy queens from a queen, I buy queens from Gretchen Bee Ranch, which is in Seguin, and he gets them from the queen rearing operation in East Texas. Getting a little feisty here, I don't know. So that's a healthy hive. They're doing great. I'm not going to get into the next level. I'm not going to feed them. Doing just fine. So we're happy with that hive. So that's a typical hive inspection. Looking for the health of the hive. So you're like a scientist when you go to a beehive, right? You use your senses. You're going to look how many bees are there. You're going to look for brood. You don't always find the queen. We were blessed to find the queen, which is kind of cool. But if you see eggs and larvae, you know there's the queen. So you don't always have to find the queen. I prefer to find the queen. It's also fun. I see how the hive is behaving. I see the amount of activity out front. They're doing great. Not a lot of honey. They should be pulling more in at this time of year, but I'll take what I can get and know that they're healthy. Thanks for tagging along on a quick hive inspection. I want to keep it short. I look forward to your questions. There are other videos on my YouTube channel. I get all my bees from removal situations, so out of walls and trees. So you can watch some videos there, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can also watch the pilot episode of our TV show, which will be out on PBS in the fall, Charlie Bee Company. It's on Amazon Prime. You can also go to charliebee.com and click to watch the show. Look forward to your questions again, and thank you.